using velocity analysis. So look at this variable stroke engine, where you can see there are two pistons, uh, or you can say there are two connecting rod and piston rods. And if you can see, there are clearly uh, two pistons which are clearly shown, and both are in different plane, and that is why their equivalent linkage system has been depicted on the left side of the screen, where two different piston rods or connecting rods are shown in two different directions. So this is a bit complex mechanism when compared to simple 4-bar mechanism, simple engines, IC engines, which can be drawn into 4-bar mechanisms. Let's see how we can analyze them, or we can draw velocity diagram for these mechanisms using inverse method and trial solution method. So for such a case, so I'm just trying to redraw this linkage. So this linkage, the equivalent linkage was something like this. So here is a piston. This piston is connecting to a piston rod at two different points with the help of two different connecting rods. One is connected to one engine via a crank. Another one is connected to another piston rod, and this is directly connected to without the help of any crank. And this piston, this moves on a vertical line. When this crank rotates, it causes piston to move up and down, but this motion is constrained by another link, which is this link. So let's say this is O4, O1, this is B, C, D, and this is E. Let's say the speed of this crank is given, this omega 1 is given, and let's say it is 100 inch per second, the velocity of B. So this is not omega, but let's say this is VB is given as 100 inch per second. So first let us try to understand the trial solution method. Velocity diagram, simple velocity diagram for such a mechanism. So here we will see how to proceed for such kind of mechanism. So let's say we have taken any arbitrary point O, which will represent all the fixed points. And we know that velocity of point B is given, and it will be in this direction perpendicular to this line O1B. So I will just draw O1B something like this. And we precisely know the point B because we know this is 100 inch per second. So this is something we know. All other things we really don't know except the dimensions. So now, in order to further proceed, what we know is that E is moving in a vertical direction about this fixed point, about this fixed. So we know that E is moving in this direction. We really don't know the sense. It may go upside, it may go downwards, but it's a trial vector, okay? And let's say it is E. We also know that E, C, and D both must lie in a single line, and their dimensional proportion should remain on the velocity image, which actually means that dc by de must be equal to dc by de on the velocity image. Now let's try to find out where will be the c on this velocity image. So we know that the velocity of point C with respect to B will be perpendicular to this line. So let's draw a perpendicular to line BC. So we can draw a perpendicular line like this. It is again a trial vector. It may also go upside and downwards. So I'm using two arrows and I'm writing point C. Similarly, velocity of D with respect to C will be perpendicular to this line, CD. Okay. So if I draw a line which is perpendicular to this CD, this will help us in finding out the point D. Okay. Now here is again also you can say velocity of point D is perpendicular to this length O4D, and because we know this point O, we know that velocity of D will be perpendicular to this. So again I can draw a perpendicular like this. Correct. It is again a trial vector. And this line is perpendicular to O4D. Now we know that point E, C, and D must lie in a line. It means that, and the dimensional proportion should also remain, are required to be maintained. It means that this proportion should be maintained. And velocity of C is always perpendicular to fixed point. So you can say that it will always be like this, isn't it? It means that E, C, and D, all these must lie on a line which is perpendicular to link OECD, because the velocity of C with respect to this fixed point is always perpendicular. So if from here, it will always be a perpendicular line and all these points will always lie in one line. So now we know that this line will be somewhat, it may be here, it may be here, it may be here. I really don't know. So in such cases, the trial solution may help. How? Because see, we have point D, the line, the vector D, the vector line C, the vector line E, and let's say you have taken any arbitrary dimension here and you have drawn a line here. This is any arbitrary dimension such that E comes here, D comes here, and C comes here. Okay. Then we should check whether uh, this proportion is maintained or not. So from looking at this point, we know that D must lie outside C, which actually means that you can say here that DE is actually equal to DC multiplied by DE over DC. So we can say that this part dE over dC, say dE over dC is always more than 1. dE over dC is always greater than 1. So dE is always greater than dC. So it means that D should lie somewhere here and not here. So D, let's say D is lying somewhat here. Again, the next trial is D is now here, and let's draw again a line like this, and let's say this is point E, this becomes point C, and this becomes point D. Now you should look at the dimensional variations such that this equation gets justified. So it means that if it is following this, if DE is equal to DC over this ratio, then you can say that this is the correct line. If DE is greater than this part, then you should again change it. It may go upside, it may go downwards, or you can say, say this was trial solution 1, this is trial solution 2. Again, you draw a line because you know all these dimensional variations. Let's say this is part, this is 2, this is the ratio 1, in dimensional ratio, which actually means that if this is 2, this should be 1. So you can see, uh, you can again draw a line which may go upside, which may go downwards, such that the ratio becomes 2 is to 1. So if DE is 2 and DC is 1, then it is a correct solution. So that is in this manner you can go upside and downwards in order to find the correct point E. Okay. And then in such a manner you can find a trial solution. So where this, let's say this is the correct, where this DE over DC is 2 is to 1. Okay. Sorry, which follows this proportion, any proportion it is, then you can find out the correct points E, C, and D. This is a trial solution method and requires a lot of alterations, a lot of changes in the drawing. So this is a very, but this becomes very convenient method to determine the velocity when the mechanism is complex. The other interesting method is inverse method. Inverse method is more interesting than this method. In this inverse method, uh, see in this example, if you had knew this point E, so there was no need to do all these approximations, and you can easily determine the other points D and C. The only part is that if you knew the velocity of the piston, it means the length OE. So inverse method utilizes this part. So what what we do in inverse, the point E, we don't know the point E, but let's say we know the point E, and OE is the correct answer. Now, you have taken any random dimension on this. That we only know this OE. So in order to start with this inverse method, um, let's say this is point O, and we exactly know this point E. You must know that this is not given, E is not given. You have taken any random dimension. We only know the direction of E. Okay, so it will go, it may go upside, it may go downwards. We have taken any random direction, E, any random dimension, any random direction, E. Okay, and we know that EDC will fall in line, which will always be like this. The points E, C, and D. So, and we also know the proportion. So, this is proportion 2, this is proportion 1. This is proportion 2, this is proportion 1. So, it becomes point D, it becomes point C. So, now we know the point D and we know the point C. So, from point C, we can, in order to find point B, we just draw a line which is perpendicular to link O1B, because we are trying to find the point B. So, sorry, so, which is perpendicular to CB. Okay, so I have just drawn a line in order to find B, and this line is perpendicular to link CB. So, and let's say this is trial vector and this is point B. From O, let's draw a perpendicular to link O1B, and then it will intersect at certain point, and let's say this becomes point B. Now, here we get OB, and let's measure the point OB. Let's say it has come some X centimeter. Okay, and this X centimeter is actually equal to 100 inch per second. If this X centimeter is equal to 100 inch per second, then we can actually determine what will this length represent. Now, let's say this is Y, so we can determine what will be the Y centimeter and what will be the corresponding. Similarly, we can also determine this velocity, this velocity, this velocity, the velocity of point D, the velocity of absolute velocity of point C, and the absolute velocity of point E. So this is again a very simple method in order to uh, do to find the velocity using the inverse method. One thing is pretty clear while doing all these, while studying all these methods, is that unless you are not pro with simple velocity diagrams, you cannot solve the problems using trial solution and inverse method, because you must have certain sense that where the velocity diagram may go. It may go upside, it may go downwards. So you must know that, like see in this example, you must know that ECD must lie in a line, and that line should be perpendicular to the vertical point. Okay. So these points should always be perpendicular, because see here, this is the velocity of E, the velocity of C is perpendicular to this line joining this fixed point and this, so this should be perpendicular, this should be perpendicular to this. So, and because they all three are lying in one link, it means that the dimensional proportion should be followed. So that is why I have drawn this line, which is perpendicular to link E and B. Okay, so this is a perpendicular link. E, C and D, sorry, not B, this is D. So this line is perpendicular to ED. So I hope that this is pretty clear, and you can solve various other examples, various other complex linkages using this inverse method. So I hope that you are already solving the problems of assignments, and we will discuss some of the problems of the assignment in next class. So I have almost completed the velocity diagram, velocity polygon. The only method which is remaining is instantaneous center method. So a lot of books actually start the velocity analysis using instantaneous center method. But and it also gives very useful informations sometimes to determine the velocities. However, instantaneous center method is not very useful when we see the acceleration analysis. So for doing the acceleration analysis, which is your next target, the velocity image or velocity polygons are very important, and they become the part of the solution. But using instantaneous center method, it is sufficient to determine the velocity, but it is not sufficient to determine the acceleration. So acceleration analysis does not require instantaneous center method. And that is why, however, sometimes people find it easier to determine the velocity using the instantaneous center method. They are also, instantaneous centers are also called centros. However, they should be used as the last option. However, if you are thinking that this is a simpler method than drawing the velocity polygon, you can always use this instantaneous center method. So if you don't do a lot of practice, you will not be able to solve it within the stipulated time. So in exam, you can expect that for every velocity polygon related problem, you will have 5 to 7 minutes at max. So you should be very proficient in drawing, in understanding where the velocity vector is going. So we will start this instantaneous center method probably in the next class, because this is the whole new topic and I'm planning to finish it in one class only. So, and then on the next Monday, there will be